Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about an American defector to North Korea. It's an unfortunate situation, but this guy's name is James Joseph Dresnok. He prefers to be called Joe. He has a Twitter account, and the Twitter account, public information, Twitter account, he follows 3 Twitter accounts, but he has amassed 2,095 followers, which is pretty sick. All right, let me explain the situation. And one of the things he says on his Twitter account is that he enjoyed staying at the Goryeo Hotel. Okay. All right. Let me explain. Okay, there were 3 kingdoms in ancient Korea. You had the Baekje, the Shilya, and the Goryeo. Okay, so that name is very important. But look beyond that. That name is just propaganda to North Korea to fuel their evil communist cause. Okay, you can't believe anything that comes out of James Joseph Dresnok's mouth. Okay. All right, one of the reasons he defected to North Korea is because, okay, he was a U.S. soldier in South Korea, but the reason he defected is because he was going to get court-martialed, okay? The U.S. Army was going to court-martial him because Joe Dresnok wanted to go down to this area called the Village and visit some prostitutes. And the commanding officer said, no, you are on duty tonight, you're on duty tonight, your unit is counting on you. Well, what he did was he forged his commanding officer's signature. Dresnok signed his commanding officer's name. Well, so in August of 1962, Dresnok, when everybody else was eating, Dresnok defected to North Korea. And when some U.S. soldiers yelled, hey, Dresnok, come back, he turned back and shot his gun. He said he was so far away the shot wouldn't have mattered. I don't believe that, and let me explain why. Okay, he defected in 1962. Okay, in 1966, he tried to seek asylum in the Soviet embassy in North Korea. The Soviets handed him right back to North Korea. But between 1962 and 1966, he didn't think he could adapt to the North Korean way of life. But he was still going to the DMZ and blasting a lot of propaganda saying North Korea is a really good place. You get lots of women in North Korea. They're going to take good care of you. But during that time, he admits that he didn't think he could adapt to the North Korean way of life. So you can't believe anything he says for that reason. Also, Charles Robert Jenkins was a U.S. Army sergeant that defected to North Korea. And he defected in January of 1965. Charles Jenkins wrote a book called The Reluctant Communist. Charles Jenkins regretted his defection. He married a Japanese woman while he was in Korea. His wife was abducted from Sado Island, Japan, brought to North Korea by force. And they married in North Korea, but eventually Jenkins and his wife were allowed to go to Japan. And let's talk about, okay, get back to Joseph Dresnok. Okay, he's currently married to a woman who's half Togolese, half Korean. She's the daughter of a former Togolese diplomat and then a Togolese father and a Korean mother. But before that, he was married to his first wife. All we know about her is that she's Eastern European. Dresnok does not talk anything about his first wife. Doesn't talk about where she's from. Doesn't talk about anything about that first marriage. So, we could easily assume that his first wife was abducted by North Koreans. Don't know for sure, but why does Joseph Dresnok not talk anything about his first marriage? And then he spewed propaganda along the DMZ during a time when he didn't think he was going to be able to adapt to the North Korean way of life. So you can't trust anything that comes out of Dresnok's mouth, and then you can't trust anything he's saying on Twitter. All right, and Charles Robert Jenkins goes into details in his book, The Reluctant Communist. He talks about how big of a bully Dresnok was. Dresnok, there were 4 U.S. defectors at the time in North Korea. 4. Okay, Larry Allen Absher, Jerry Wayne Parrish, Charles Robert Jenkins, and then Joe Dresnok. Okay, Dresnok would throw his laundry on the floor and force Absher to do the laundry. And Jenkins got sick of that, and he punched Dresnok, knocked him down. Well, in the documentary on Joe Dresnok Crossing the Line, where people were able to interview Dresnok, Dresnok doesn't contradict a lot of Jenkins' statements in the book, The Reluctant Communist. All Dresnok basically does is call Jenkins a liar. He just refuses to talk about Jenkins very much, other than to call him a liar. If Dresnok was speaking the truth, why doesn't he go into further details? And if you watch the film Crossing the Line, you can tell that he does not go into heavy details with a lot of things. And you can watch the movie, the documentary Crossing Line on YouTube. So, anyway, don't believe anything that comes out of James Joseph Dresnok's mouth. He doesn't consider himself a traitor to the United States. Quite frankly, I do, and I think you guys should too. I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinions with a lot of things, but you can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth if he was spewing propaganda saying how great North Korea was, which is not, but then at the same time didn't think at that time he was going to adapt, because he did admit to trying to seek asylum in the Soviet embassy, but the Soviets wouldn't let him come there. So, anyway, hope everybody is doing well. Take care, and God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.